Welcome into Cornhusker Connection. It's me and the fellas as usual, Brandon, Shanahan, Tyler Sprinkle, and Brooke Byrne. If you're listening to my voice right now, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. It doesn't cost you anything. We're not going to bust down your door and talk and force you to listen to it. Just it helps us. Just do it, please. Anyways, first episode now that the transfer portal has been open, so we'll get into plenty of that. I we're kind of talking before the show. We're gonna disagree on a lot of stuff. One thing that I think I want to put up that is very exciting and promising to me is it seems like Nebraska is being very aggressive and getting after it, and I think that's a great thing. I think that's and going into this offseason, that's all I ask for. Just turn every stone, whether it's coaching decisions, high school recruits, transfer portal, just do it all, and then we'll figure it out later.
Yeah, my favorite thing is, or like during the season, we talked about like, why would any of these guys want to come here? Sounds like that's not the sentiment. Like a lot of people are at least kind of interested in coming to Nebraska, which is very surprising to me. Awesome, but very surprising. So that's one thing I love.
And I want to say, after hearing like an interview Cam Ward had, I think with just a Wazoo guy or whatever, someone asked him about entering the transfer portal his first time coming from Incarnate Word, and he said a program he had on his mind was Nebraska, and I was like, you got to be fucking kidding me.
Don't give up.
I wanted him the first time he was in the portal, and we did not go after him, which fucking sucks ass. But we have an opportunity now, apparently.
Yeah, and I mean, to kind of piggyback on what Tyler said, now it's tough to really decipher on if any of these guys actually have mutual interest, because it's all Satterfield going to Waco or going to East Lansing or going to Columbus to visit with these guys. So I don't know how much effort it is. Well, I mean, to counter my own point, these guys only have so much time to make a decision. I don't think they would even entertain Nebraska if they weren't, at least curious, which I feel like is a win. And if nothing else, they're going after what they want.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Tyler.
I was going to say, does this mean that like, so when you enter the transfer portal, and I'm not very clear on these rules, like these guys aren't playing in their bowl games, right? Okay. I didn't think so. I just was curious.
I was just going to bring up the bowl game situation. I feel like there are already 1,000 kids in the portal before bowl games have happened, and it's only going to get crazier after like January 1st. It's going to go nuts. And it sounds like we're already in contact with a bunch of quarterbacks, but I'm wondering if, the reason we haven't pulled the trigger on anyone yet is if we're waiting for all the smoke to clear on that. You saw Max Johnson instantly commit to North Carolina, but it's hard to say.
I just don't want to be caught in that. Like, don't wait too damn long, or else we're going to lose some of these guys that we probably really want. There's no reason to sit around. Yeah.
Don't lose your second guy waiting for your first guy to make a decision.
Yeah.
Especially when it seems like they're taking big swings as far as some of these real high-end guys. I would hate for them to feel really good about a guy like Sam Levitt and then lose him because they're waiting for Will Howard, who really isn't, in this hypothetical, isn't even really looking at us. And then we have to just run it back with our quarterback room, minus Jeff Sims, who's also in the portal now.
Well, it sounds like Sam Levitt's a guy that they're going to recruit to not play right away and kind of learn. Sounds like they want to take one veteran guy to start right away next year, and then Sam Levitt's like essentially just recruiting a young guy.
So that's a good plan. In that thought process, where does Purdy fall in this? And also, how much eligibility does he have left? He
Purdy
can't have
has
that much,
3
right?
years.
How the hell is that possible?
Because redshirt and then COVID.
Oh, yeah.
So everybody, that's the thing. With the whole COVID situation, everybody's just got 5 years now, like bare minimum. And if you redshirt, now you got 6. And then if you redshirt and then you get hurt early on in a year and you miss almost an entire year, like like 7 years isn't uncommon now in college football, and it was just like it would happen once in a blue moon before COVID, and now it's like a regular thing.
Yeah.
So, Wild West.
And it seems that we're looking to probably lose a couple guys to going pro, which is awesome. I love that. You always want to see guys from your program going pro. You can make the argument, oh, maybe it's a little too early for some stuff. If you have the ability to get in there,
go get it,
bro. Do it.
That's one thing you can never be mad at a kid for is going pro. No. If you have the opportunity to get drafted, fucking leave.
Also, just the transfer portal in general, like you see some fans on Twitter like bashing these kids for going to the portal. Like, go F yourself, you fucking loser. Jesus.
And that's going to be the narrative around Jeff Sims. And I want to say this as bluntly as I can. You are a loser if you're ripping him on his way out. It should be sad it didn't work out. Obviously he has some stuff he needs to fix, but I mean, obviously he knows his time here wasn't great. You don't need to, kick someone when they're down. So
yeah. And even then, he was still the best teammate you could ask for from somebody in that situation.
Exactly.
Just
and I know Jeff Sims obviously didn't accomplish it, whatever he wanted to accomplish here, but it feels like even more than that, like it almost feels like we failed him, where he comes into the spot, he thinks he's gonna be the face of this Matt Rule transformation, and his play didn't live up to par. But I felt the same thing for Casey Thompson. I felt the same thing for Adrian Martinez, where these guys come in and they're not coming here to not be sensational, and then it just doesn't work out, and then it feels like they leave with a bitter taste in their mouth, and I hate that. I hate it.
Yeah, if it were easy, then I would be out there. I mean, It's obviously not. So get off your high horse and quit acting like an ass.
What kind of team does Jeff Sims end up at? Do you think it group of 5 STF?
Group of 5, I would think. That, or he goes to a school like lateral to Georgia Tech again, maybe like, I don't know, like a Cal or Syracuse. I don't know.
I mean, either like that. Both the Pac-2 schools are looking for new quarterbacks.
Yeah. What if we just did a swap? Yeah. Jeff Sims, Cam Ward just swapped.
Give them
swap with who?
Cam Ward and Jeff Sims just swapped.
Dude, I would.
We'll throw in a couple of draft picks.
Yeah, I would take out a loan and go put it on Cam Ward Heisman immediately.
Yeah. Another big thing, though, our scholarship situation right now is not ideal.
Crazy.
Dude.
Yeah, and that's why, like, when they were handing out scholarships to, like, walk-ons and stuff, I was like, I mean, maybe it works out for this year, but, like, that's got to be a tough conversation if you start taking away scholarships to make room for other guys.
Yeah, and I also don't know how that works. Like, is there, like, the ability to offer 1 year of scholarship? Like, I don't know how that works. I don't know if it's all or none.
I guess, yeah, I don't know how that works, but that's a crazy situation to have because it's not like we're, like, 5 over the limit. We're 20 over scholarship.
Yeah. It's like an NCAA 14 when you're going through your roster and you're just, oh no.
You gotta wait. You gotta start cutting people.
Yeah. And then you start cutting 78 overall, so you're never in a good spot.
And it's interesting because, we haven't had any real, other than Jeff Sims, any guys who have really gotten any playing time entering the portal. I'm sure, like, once, the transfer portal kind of eases in and we get into spring practice, we'll probably have a mass exodus then.
Yeah, anything, you'll start the writing will start being on the wall as far as who's going to get time and who's not. And so I feel like with any program across the country, you see guys who think they should be getting time, and they, like you said, in spring ball, they're going to start seeing where they fall on the depth chart, and they're not going to be happy. And that happens everywhere where guys start leaving. And
but I do think that we're doing a good job, at least from what they're saying. We're doing a good job of being, like, very transparent with these guys, so that way it's not like a huge shock. Like maybe they're saying, this is where you're at now. This is where we project you. You have all the opportunity in the world to change our minds. But in the end, this is where we're seeing you. If you don't like that, then go ahead and look for other opportunities now instead of waiting till the last second to try to find a team.
And I feel like that's pretty consistent with everything that Matt Rule kind of brings to the table, and kind of what he stands for is, your spots here. Here's where we're at. So we're not going to, tickle your balls to get here to get you to commit to Nebraska. If it's not a good fit, then it's not a good fit. It is what it is. But it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be hard. It's gonna be, an opportunity to compete. If it's not, a winnable situation for you, we're gonna keep looking, and it is what it is. And that's they're definitely one of the. It feels very on brand for what Matt Rule is trying to bring.
So on the other side of things, unless Brooke, you have anything else to say on that?
I was just going to add in, you saw that with Casey Thompson, especially going into the spring of this past year. He was hurt and he wasn't able to compete for the starting spot with his shoulder surgery, and he transferred out. And I think that was a good job of the coaching staff being transparent with him, and good for the players.
Yeah. I was going to mention on the flip side of things, you see a mass exodus from Ohio State, and that's, got to raise some red flags, right? Like all these guys are leaving. Your star quarterback, however you think of him, quarterback for a top 5 team for most of the year. He puts in his request to leave, which is kind of surprising. And then 10 other guys or 9 other guys decide to go, and very high, star recruits. So I wonder what's going on there.
I want to start with the whole Kyle McCord situation, where he did play pretty solid for Ohio State, but people quickly forget, like, Ohio State was running a 2-quarterback system for like the first 3 games of the year, and he kind of was defaulted into that job. He did turn it up a little bit, but if Ohio State's that unhappy with him, I don't know that I want him coming to Nebraska necessarily, because the guys he played with, Marvin Harrison and that O-line and some of the skill guys, like, obviously inflate his numbers. And we want to be on Ohio State's level, right? So why would we want to take a guy that Ohio State doesn't think is very good?
I see what you're saying. I don't necessarily agree wholeheartedly with what you're saying. Because just for instance, right, like Brock Purdy gets a lot of flack because he plays with great athletes. Doesn't mean that he's still not a good quarterback in my mind. Like, he still has to make the throws. He still has to read the defense. And this is going to sound so stupid, and I'm not even sure I believe this, but I think with the guys, the young guys that we have right now, obviously aren't going to be Marvin Harrison Jr. level, but I think they could still develop into something like pretty special.
Yeah, initially when I saw that Satterfield was heading up to Columbus, I was definitely in the same camp as Brooke. I was like, well, I don't. The thought of just picking up somebody else's sloppy seconds when they think they can do better than somebody, it's not a very good taste, not very good optics. But then I kind of just think I was overthinking it, because I think you look at our quarterback room, even assuming that Kyle McCord, right? I got his name right. Okay. Assuming Kyle McCord even takes a pretty substantial step back, which I feel like is pretty safe to say, I still think he's head and above better than what we have now, which is kind of the goal, is just to upgrade. I don't think that – I think it's clear that Ohio State doesn't see him as the 5-star superstar that they recruited, and that's, something. But I feel like him coming in here would be very good. I'd be very excited about it. And I think it also adds a little bit of cachet to it, because he is, a well-known name. He did play some good ball at the highest level in college football. And I think people see somebody like Kyle McCord leaving Ohio State, a perennial CFP contender, somebody who was a drive away, arguably, from going to the college football playoff. And it's like, oh, he's going to Nebraska? They haven't been to a bowl game in 7 years. What do they got cooking over there? Let me go take a look. And as Scott Frost would always say, once you get these guys into Lincoln, then it's an easy sell job from there. So I think that helps. And then I just think he's a good ad as far as he knows what high-end college football is like. And I don't think that there's an opportunity for him to really shrink. I think he'll take a step back, obviously production-wise, just because of the scheme, and we don't have NFL guys around him yet. But I think he's, significantly better than what we have. And I think he's still got a few years of eligibility left, so he could even grow and develop at Nebraska for whatever that's worth. From his point of view, it doesn't feel like a good fit to me. I feel like there are better fits for him around that could help him with his draft stock and probably try to compete for something more than a Big Ten West title or Big Ten West caliber team.
I wouldn't hate if he came to Nebraska at all, but obviously, like, the Notre Dame game, probably one of their bigger wins, was a very defensive slugfest. Like, not great numbers. I mean, they were okay, but it felt like he was a big reason they lost the Michigan game. And he played good enough against Penn State, but even that game, I felt like their defense won. Where it's like, if we hand him the keys to the offense and are like, we need you to go make plays. I just don't know in the Big Ten Conference with a lesser, talented group that we have than he did at Ohio State. Is that really going to work?
I think a lot of it is, well, first, 24-6 is nothing to scoff at. 24 touchdowns and 6 picks. That still has, you still have to make the right decisions. Whether or not you have great athletes on the outside or not, you still obviously can't throw the ball to their team. So I think that's something to note. And I think finding the right system is a good thing too. Like, you see it all the time, quarterbacks going into the NFL, high draft picks, and they just stink. I mean, finding that system, finding the right group of guys. And yeah, that kind of doesn't make sense for him to go to Nebraska if you're looking for something like that, because we don't have all the talent in the world. Or maybe we do, just young. And I see what you're saying in terms of, if Ohio State doesn't want him, then why would we? But do you follow that same train of thought with the other guys that are transferring out?
So that's a little different, I feel like, because like the Julian Fleming kid, the 5-star receiver, really didn't get on the field. And I feel like that's because he was a part of a really deep receiver room. And I would be willing to take a risk on a guy like that where we just haven't seen yet. And maybe he was behind. Like, Marvin Harrison's a first rounder, of top 5 pick. And some of those other guys are going to be day 1, day 2 NFL picks. So I feel like at Ohio State with that wide receiver room, it's a matter of waiting your turn. And like, that's a little easier for me to wrap my mind around, whereas McCourt was a game manager at best for Ohio State. And like, 6 picks is pretty good, but like, for a guy that wasn't asked to do too much, and they're like, when in doubt, just throw it at Marvin Harrison. Like, something gives me an uneasy feeling about him. I think there's 5, 6 other quarterbacks I'd rather have than him. And if it is him, oh well, like, we'll make the best of it. But something just deep inside me says, please don't take him.
Yeah. But then you can also, sorry, Brandon, let me, I mean, he's the wide receiver that's transferring out. This is the time that he's been waiting for, and now he's transferring. So it just makes me wonder, like, what's going on there? Like, why are people leaving when it should be their time now?
I don't know. It's probably that they're just not happy with Day, and they're like, the big thing is you have to get on the field. Like, in the case of that Fleming kid, where it's like, I see why he's gone, where it's like, I can't waste another year, not being the guy somewhere. So if I have to go somewhere else to prove it, then I'll do that. But
okay.
Yeah, it is. What's interesting to me is that, to me, it very much feels like a situation where Ryan Day probably sat down with Kyle McCord and like, we're going to bring somebody else in to compete with you. kind of with the undertone of we want somebody better than you. But I'm not seeing Ohio State really go after any of these top guys that I think would. Like, who does Ohio State want?
Well, somewhere I read that they really like the incoming kid that they have, that Aaron Noland.
Interesting.
So I see a world in which it could be him, but I mean, they got to be hot on Cam Ward's ass too, because I mean, he's one of the top names out there right now in the portal. Or again, there's going to be more guys hitting the portal after bowl games. So maybe they got their eyes on someone or already in contact with someone that they shouldn't be, which happens all the time in college football. But I feel like they probably already like got their sights set on someone.
They haven't signed. But I haven't seen any smoke coming from anywhere.
Also, is DJ Uyalungalele, is he going to the draft? Is that what he's doing? Or is he transferring out?
So, well, I think he's either or. I imagine. I think he'll be playing college football next year.
So, I mean, that could be somebody that Ohio State potentially looks at. More of an explosive guy, not a game manager, somebody that can make plays when you need them to. Yeah, maybe they're looking at somebody else that's not even on the radar yet. I don't know.
Yeah, I really feel like come January 1st up until like the end of March, the transfer portal is going to go nuts. Where it's like guys.
See ya.
Guys.
Yep. Get them out of here. Get them out of here.
Oh.
There he is. Welcome back, buddy.
Whoa.
So guys.
I said, yeah, there's guys that like you would think have no business putting their name in the transfer portal are going to put their names in.
Yeah. Also, I want to talk about how Fedoni broke my heart for like 5 seconds. Dude, what are you doing? You can't be doing that right now. You can't. You just can't do that right now.
Crazy.
Yeah, I got real nervous. And that's a lot of words. It's probably the only one of those graphics that I've actually read all the way through.
I was gonna say that was one of those things where I was like, damn, congrats or sorry that happened, but I'm not reading all that.
Yeah, that's funny.
So let me ask you guys this. I'll ask you who you think we're gonna end up with. But first of all, what if you had 3 names and like best case scenario, we got all the NIL money that we need. What's the best options for Nebraska?
I mean, Cam Ward's got to be one, right? 1A.
Yeah. I mean,
I still think it's Will Howard. Like weirdly enough, because his name hasn't come up taking visits anywhere. People coming to see him, that at least that I've seen, it's like he's talked to the Nebraska coaches and then got all real quiet. So unless he's waiting to hear from someone else, that's who I think.
I mean, Lincoln Riley also made a trip to Manhattan. I feel like that's a tough guy to say no to if you're a quarterback.
It is a tough guy to say no to, but look at that situation where they were 7-5 this year. Like, yes, you're going to put up great numbers with Lincoln Riley, but now you're moving to the Big Ten where, like, teams have better defenses and you have a terrible defense. Like, I feel like they're going to struggle to make bowl games.
And that's true, but I also feel like Will Howard's already got a legacy with his time at Kansas State. I feel like Lincoln Riley, all he has to do is be like, hey, aside from Spencer Rattler for the 6 games that he played for, every guy I've coached has been in New York for a Heisman Trophy finalist, and every one of those guys is playing on Sundays now. Does that sound good to you? All right, then come on down.
Yeah.
And it would make sense that they're probably waiting for Caleb Williams to make his announcements. Obviously, probably a foregone conclusion, but it'd be bad optics and kind of spoil his time.
He already did. He already said he's not playing in the bowl game because he's going to the draft.
Well, I heard that he wasn't playing the bowl game. I didn't know if it was.
I don't think he's announced that he's going to the draft yet.
Oh,
and that's a name I was like kind of foreshadowing there, where I could see someone like Bama being like, 10 million. 10 million, you come win a natty. You're going to be the first overall pick next year. Let's do it.
That'd be
Yeah, I guess he
crazy.
did kind of have like a down year of sorts, even though he still had great numbers. But compared to last year, it's definitely a down year. Yeah,
Man, that'd be crazy.
that would be nuts. I mean, for me, I think my number one would be Riley Leonard, but obviously he's going to Notre Dame. Yeah, so that's off the table. I'm thinking Cam Ward.
I
I'm
love Grayson
thinking,
McCall.
yeah, he's the older guy that you'd like to see.
Whoa.
How do you guys feel about Shapen from Baylor?
So
I don't know anything about.
I had my notes. I'm like, well, it's interesting because Nebraska's with their trip so far, it's been targeting different guys. You get an experienced, high floor kind of guy like Kyle McCord. You get the high ceiling guy like Cam Ward. Blake Shapen also plays quarterback. Then you got the young prospect in Levitt at Michigan State. He seems fine, but I don't know if he's without a doubt significantly better than Chuba Purdy, and that to me is a problem.
I would much rather have Shapen than McCord, if I'm being honest.
That's insane to me.
So what I was going to say on that is I trust what Matt Rule is doing and has done. So if they believe that McCord is the guy, then I'm all for it. I'm all for it.
I'm going to be kicking and screaming the whole offseason if that's who it is.
I mean, but Blake Shapen, like I'd rather take a mediocre quarterback on a good team than a bad quarterback on a bad team.
You and your weird Big 12 takes where Baylor did not have a good team around him this year. That kid got thrown in as a true freshman into like a New Year's Six bowl game and held his own. I think he can play ball. And obviously, I don't know like the ins and outs of what went on at Baylor this year, but they were a bad football team. I don't think it was because of him.
What about the likes of MJ Morris, I believe is his name?
I'm really surprised I'm not hearing anything about him one way or the other, which is, I mean, I guess you have such a small sample size for him, and that's scary, but boy, you see a high ceiling there.
Yeah.
Dude, if he puts it all together, he's going to be like Heisman level good, but like his floor is still like Jeff Sims, what he did for us this year. Because I was seeing some clips of like his really good and then his really bad, like very much a gunslinger, and like we'll try to make every throw, and I just don't know if that's a guy we need right now.
Yeah, that's a good point. And you do look at those 4 games, but you also have to look. There's a reason why Brennan Armstrong started over him. Now, in a perfect world, it's like, well, it's optics. We had Brennan Armstrong transfer in. He had a really good year a couple of years ago. But I mean, at the end of the day, ball is ball, and you want to get the best guy out there. And it does scare me when a guy can't win a job at a school like NC State.
But maybe they're thinking like going with somebody that's more experienced, trying to win more games that way.
Yeah. But did you see what happened this year with that? Where it was, they chose Armstrong, he got hurt. Morris played the 4 games. He went 4-0 or 3-1 or whatever, and they wanted him to finish out the year. And he goes, "Nah, fam, I'm gonna redshirt and I'm getting my ass out of here."
Yeah.
So
good for him.
They chose the wrong guy.
Yeah.
But what did they see? What was it? Just that they botched it, or was it just like they saw something?
They
took a quarterback from Virginia, and he wasn't very good.
Yeah, and let's also not sit here and think that all these coaches make the right decision all the time.
No,
because they don't.
I think
I look at it more of like maybe an oversight, or they wanted the other guy to work out so bad, so they started him instead.
Because I do know a program pretty near and dear to my heart who had a returning quarterback on their roster, went out, invested heavily into a transfer portal quarterback, also from the ACC, and that guy stunk so bad that they ended up finishing with the guy who was a returner from last year by the end of the season.
Yep.
His brother's also San Francisco 49ers quarterback. You can put the pieces together.
He's talking about Nebraska.
Yeah.
Oh. I thought you said from the ACC, and I was like, what?
Yeah, they got somebody from.
Yeah, they got somebody from the ACC.
I thought you were saying the team is in the ACC,
Oh, no.
and I was like, what?
Listen, all I do know, Brooke, is that whoever we take, we're going to be sitting in my basement watching highlights.
Oh, yeah.
Let's go, dude.
We really thought Jeff Sims was going to be him. And boy, were we wrong.
And it sucks that we were wrong about him, but like that's the fun of it, is like just buying into a guy. And I would so much rather. I heard someone recently talk like if we got someone like Kyle McCord, they'd be kicking and screaming all offseason. That just sounds miserable as a college football fan.
Who would say that?
Listen, I come Saturdays next fall, I would still be all bought in on the hype train, but I would. As soon as it went bad, I would be there to be like, I fucking knew it.
Be in our ears about it.
But like, listen, if we take McCord and he is just like slinging that pill around, Heisman-looking finalist, whatever, I would be ecstatic to say I was wrong.
Yeah.
But then I get to just crack an egg right on your forehead.
I would love that, because then that would mean we'd be really fucking good, and I would take that trade-off all day.
When I think about Kyle McCord, I think, he was never the best player on the field. But when you look at our quarterback, they were almost always the worst player on the field. And I feel like if we can elevate that with whatever, that's a win. If
we have the chance to swing and hit a home run and get a guy like Cam Ward, Will Howard, someone like that, if we can, why are we going to settle on McCord? I just don't see that.
But then that goes back to the kind of conversations that we've been having all year about why would somebody of that sort of caliber want to come to Nebraska. And now we're caught up in just us going to visit them, kicking the tires and seeing what comes out. I mean, they could all be saying, I don't care what you have to offer. I'm not going there.
But Cam Ward named us without us. Yeah. Like he named us on a podcast and was like, that's a school I was looking at my first time I jumped in the portal. And then we're on a plane out there, and now all of a sudden we're in his top 6.
Yeah.
So I don't know the reason he, had his eye on Nebraska, but with this coaching staff and, everybody seems to be happy with how the NIL shakes out here. If we could just get him here, oh, man.
Yeah. And that's the obvious number one. But again, I would not be mad at Kyle coming. I wouldn't be mad at McCall. I wouldn't be mad. Obviously, I would not be mad at Will Howard. I think that would be a great fit for us. I don't even think I would be mad at Morris coming, as long as we had somebody else coming.
A backup, Chuba ready to go, or that Levitt kid ready to go.
Yeah.
In case it didn't work out.
Yeah.
And I think this is also an important time for Satterfield to kind of earn his paycheck, because I think almost everybody was unanimously disappointed with the offensive product. I will give him much more of a pass if he can go out and close a deal. I don't know how involved he was with getting Spencer Rattler to South Carolina, but that was a big deal.
Very,
very big deal. And I think I was thinking about this. I think I'd rather have an average offensive coordinator. Granted, he wasn't average last year, but I would rather have an average offensive coordinator if he's a really good recruiter or a good closer or whatever. And I'd imagine that's why, Matt Rule's sending him out to, try to earn his paycheck. So I think this is a big couple of weeks here for Sad as well.
Yeah.
Huge.
So, Brooke, I have some questions about, and I always forget his damn name, the Bell West guy.
Kalen.
I always want to say Klein. I don't always want to say Klein. So Kalen, are you hearing anything about him? Like, I mean, coming in red shirt right away, sit around, like.
I feel like the fact that they're in the portal so heavy right away tells you that, I mean, I don't know. Every kid is different with their maturity level, but asking an 18-year-old kid, true freshman, to come in and lead an offense right away would be pretty crazy. I think
But we've
best
seen it.
case scenario, we're 1 year away from using him, and at worst, we're like 3.
Okay.
But again, a lot of the spring ball and summer practices, how they talk about him, will tell you a lot.
They seem like pretty excited about him. Like, you saw a picture. Matt Rule was over there just the other day.
Mhm.
Like, you don't do that for somebody that you're like,
Yeah.
He could be very good. I've seen him play. I've seen clips of him. Very high IQ passer. He's not much of a mobile guy, but he can sit back there and make throws. And
Yeah.
you have to be, because people forget this about Kalen. Before he ever took a varsity snap as a 9th or 10th grader, he was at a camp down in Florida, like a rivals, satellite camp, and fucking balled out and got an offer on the spot from Florida State. And then
Whoa.
Nebraska, was like, holy shit, well, if Florida State's offering him, we got to offer him. So
Yeah.
he had 2 Power 5 offers ever before he took a varsity snap in high school.
Damn.
So
Yeah, I didn't know that. That's crazy.
Yeah, he's the real deal throwing the ball, but that's in high school. We'll see if that translates to college and how fast it translates, but he can sling it a little bit.
Yeah.
And then is it Tony or because the Rezak quarterback from West Side
Going to Notre Dame?
Yeah, preferred walk-on for Notre Dame. Hopefully that's not something that blows up in our face. But
well, there's a Burke alum at Notre Dame right now that
how
just
about
won
that?
the Nagurski. So
that's awesome. Yeah,
I can't believe I hadn't heard about that until Brooke brought it up. I mean that's
he's
a big deal.
balling.
Yeah,
Huge.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And yeah, just super excited to see what's coming. I mean, I know it's like you said, might not be for 2 years, 3 years, but still very exciting nonetheless.
And so we'll wrap up with this. Who do you think is going to be QB1 come springtime?
I'm staying staunch on Will Howard, but I would not who I want. Obviously, Ward is one, but who I think it will be, I think it's either Howard or, it's speculation, but people really think McCord's coming. So
I'm hearing a lot of smoke about McCord, but
yeah, I mean that guy from 24/7 Sports predicting that he's coming to Nebraska.
Yeah, that's so weird to me, but
yeah,
because how would he know that?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
The poopy diaper in me makes me think that it's going to be Purdy. They were going to miss on everybody.
No way. You'd have to fire Satterfield before the season next year.
Yeah. But if I'm thinking more optimistically, I think it's going to be Kyle McCord. I really do.
Well, both of those scenarios really bum me out. So.
Yeah, we know.
At that point, I would rather just rock with Purdy instead of fucking McCord.
Damn.
I also didn't realize Purdy had so much eligibility left. That makes me feel better about him.
Well, I thought he had 1 year left. I had no idea.
He's got it's at least 2, but I think it's 3.
I think you're right. Because it was just a freshman when he transferred from Florida State.
Maybe it is 2 because I think technically he was a sophomore.
Oh,
this
maybe.
Year.
Well,
that or he was a fucking redshirt freshman. But I don't know how it works with the COVID shit. So
yeah,
do they call him a sophomore? But he has 3 years if he wants it. I don't know. But
yeah. If you had to strap me to a chair and say I need a name, I'd say Chuba Purdy. I love that they're being aggressive, and I love that they're going after guys like Cam Ward. But I also hope that I hope you got a couple of backup plans. I would like it to be Kyle McCord. That would probably make realistically Cam Ward's number 1. I would be very excited with Kyle McCord.
Dude, we're putting Brooke in a blender right now.
Oh my god. You guys are trying to sell me on at best we're getting Kyle McCord. What makes you think we can land an Ohio State guy, but the Wazoo guy, you guys are like, fuck no.
Well, because he's way more attractive.
Yeah, he's
All right, but by
Oregon's
that
going to be looking at
logic,
him. I think
why
Florida
are you
State's
so high
looking
on
at him.
McCord?
Oh, I want Cam to come,
Yeah.
but I don't think we're going to get him. So he
But
said,
you
who
guys
do
are-
I think is going to start next year? I don't think Cam Ward's coming.
Okay, that's
So by
fine.
that logic-
But like, if it's not Ward or Howard or like someone like McCall, I don't know who else is going to throw their name in, but someone of substance, like just let us rock out with Purdy. I don't want McCord.
Well, I like McCord, but I don't think he fits in this category. But if you don't have somebody head and shoulders above Purdy, I'm okay with running it back with Purdy. I thought he showed a lot of good stuff. Let him develop another year. Yeah, he got thrown into a weird situation last year. Yeah, I'm very comfortable with him being QB1. However, if you can get Kyle McCord, go get Kyle McCord.
Also, you guys forget how much like we utilize the option in quarterback run. McCord is not a runner.
That's true.
I don't think that's the offense Satterfield wants to run, though.
No, obviously he wants the quarterback to sit back there and throw it. But you guys have seen how shaky our O-line can be. Yeah. Like we need a guy that's capable of moving around.
I don't know.
I thought you were going to say it's clear that Satterfield's offense is sitting the guy back there and throwing interceptions. That's what I thought.
Well,
I thought you were
not wrong if I said that either. So
the only reason we're still running the option is because Tom Osborne's still around. That's it.
Well, because we had to start Heinrich Harburg for 6 games. That's why we had to run.
Yeah, how does that make you feel? Your Golden Boy's gonna have to switch positions. He's such a bad quarterback, Brandon.
Dude, if he's QB1, I'll ride for him again. I don't want him to be QB1.
If he's QB1, I will not be a Nebraska fan.
That's all I'm doing. I'm riding for my guy.
If he's quarterback, I want. Look at me.
I will lose my mind.
If he's quarterback 1 come August next year, I will not be a Nebraska fan.
Yeah, we got it.
I'm right there.
I will not be able to handle you guys. I'll be trying to be optimistic to save my sanity.
Dude, we would have to, Brooke and I would have to splinter off, create our own podcast, anti-Nebraska, and just dog walk them every week.
Well, you know what we could do that would make Brandon really happy? We could just convert to Buffalo fans like he is. And then we could just be Colorado Tyler.
Not a good time to be a Colorado Buffalo fan. We didn't get into it today, but not a good time to be a Colorado Buffalo fan. I'll tell you that.
What a disaster that's turned out to be.
Yeah, it's so bad his fucking fiance is ditching him.
Dude, all right. Too far.
Shots? Sorry, my bad.
Too far.
Well, fellas, that's all I had for the day. We'll obviously get into bowl season next week, and hopefully we'll have some clarity. Every time that, like when Tyler Shuck got picked up by Louisville, I'm like, okay, Louisville doesn't need a quarterback anymore. So hopefully we'll have some clarity on who needs a quarterback.
Also, real quick, while you guys are here, how do you guys feel about Shao going to Louisville?
Good on him, I guess.
Who?
And Tyler Shao, the Texas Tech transfer, committed to Louisville.
Oh.
Hope it works out.
He got benched at Texas Tech. What makes Louisville think, oh, we're going to fix him?
Rooting for him.
Yeah, always. They're kids.
Rooting for him.
Looks like 5-7 to me.
Yeah.
Also, Kyle, thanks for listening. Can't wait to see you in Lincoln.
Yeah.
Kyle, if you're listening, you better be able to sling that fucking rock.